Hello, today on Odd Job Johnny, we're going to tackle soldering a copper pipe. Here are some of the supplies that you will need. Of course, you'll need copper pipe, torch, solder, solder paste, sandpaper, emery cloth, or this is a 3M scrubby pad, and you have pipe cutters. There's two different sizes there, and that's exactly what you need. Just to show you, this is thin solder. That's for doing electrical. Don't want that. Just want to make sure. This is one that says on it, let's get it right in camera view, metalwork solder. This is for doing old-fashioned bodywork. Tinning is what it was called, and this is what that's for. This is not for plumbing. Oh, and over here we have plumbing solder, and I'll show you why this is good. Thickness of this solder is exactly what you need. It's lead free and it's made specifically for plumbing. You can find it in Home Depot in the plumbing section. So you got to make sure you get the right solder. No. No. Yes. And always you have to have soldering paste. That's what you need. So these are the supplies you're going to need. Torch, make sure there's a full tank in there. This you can also pick up from the plumbing section. I believe this was $15 with the tip. And you can fix anything that bursts in the middle of the night. So there we are. That's a piece of copper that usually sells it in quite long lens. I think they're 5 or 6 feet when you buy it, unless you go somewhere where they sell scrap pieces. So let's get to it. First, I'm going to go over just a very quick and basic tutorial on cutting this pipe. So this is a pipe cutter. You can see it there. This is the pipe cutter here. It's a bigger one. And this is our copper pipe. Now, if you have to cut, like say, a section from, let's get it in the frame here, from there to there, you're going to want to use a pipe cutter. But I'm just going to cut the tip a little bit just to show you the basics. So what you do is, boy, it's real hard to get this in view here. Okay, so you adjust the jaws and then you put it in there so it's leaning on there. Here, let's get the camera so we are actually on there so we can all see. There we go, much better. Absolutely better. Okay, so what you do is you get that on there and you turn it real tight, and then you start to turn the pipe. And let's get it in there, damn it. We'll try and keep it in frame. I have no camera operator today, so I'm the camera operator. So you keep turning it like so, and you tighten it, and then you turn it. Let's keep it in frame. Sorry about that. You keep turning. Yep, and then you tighten it some more. And then you turn it some more. And believe me, it does cut. It just takes a little bit. Sorry if I go out of frame, but like I say, my camera operator, it's Sunday. There we go. So I'm going to show it. You just got to tighten this knob. Here. Tighten this knob. Turn, tighten it. Keep on tightening it. It'll dig in and it'll do a really perfect cut. There. So that's the pipe cut. Not all the way through because I wanted to show the open cut. But if I kept going, it would have cut it perfectly and it's nice and smooth. Now a lot of the pipe cutters, if you get more expensive ones, have what they call a reamer. So after you would do that, I'll show it on the other end. Let's get into frame there. Right there, once it's cut, it'll be can be a little sharp. The reamer, you just put it in there and turn it and ream it out. So that's how you cut pipe if you need to for repair. Let's get to the soldering part. So up here we have our pipe, of course. And like I said, let's not forget, let's get that into focus here. There we go. Solder paste. There we go, solder. crusty emery cloth, or this is a 3M scrub pad. This is our fitting we're gonna put on. This is an angle fitting. Let's get it in there. Sorry about my camera operator. This is Sunday and I wanted to keep shooting videos. We have a brush. This is for putting the solder paste on, or flux. And here's a lighter, just a beautiful green Bic lighter. And my beautiful hands, of course. So what we're gonna do is, when you're soldering, this here is kind of worn. So you need, and what makes really good, real good solder job, super clean joint. The cleaner, the better the adhesion. I'm gonna ream this right down further. I always go further than I need to, so if you can see, let's get my hand out of the way. That's how deep we are. I also want to take this and let's get it right in there, and I want to go inside there. Even if I ball this up inside, as you can see, and then what I do is I scrub and get that really clean. Get it clean or you're not getting a good solder joint. All right, there we go. Next we're gonna move on to putting some flux on there. Okay, so here's my flux. I know it might sound weird to show all this, but flux is extremely important. What does flux do? Flux sucks the solder upwards into the joint evenly, around the joint evenly. If you have even one tiny pinhole where the solder did not take, you will have a leak, because water likes to travel everywhere, especially if there's a spot where it's gonna leak. And I make sure my fitting here is super reamed out still. I looked in there and it just didn't look nice and coppery enough for me. There we go. What we're gonna do is, I always like to I would put it in frame, a little flux inside there too. This flux burns off pretty quickly and then you're left with nothing, and then you gotta start all over again. Now here's a little tip. If you happen to be working, another tip is, if you happen to be working on the pipe and there's water, because you're turned off your water main and you've dried it out, when you're soldering and the heat starts, water will draw to the heat and then you have nothing but problems. An old trick that I learned when I was soldering is bread. Bread inside there will soak up water and then it flushes through, it breaks down and flushes through the water, like through your faucets or whatever. So if you have a little bit of water and you're concerned about that, use bread only if you have to. Let's get the torch and let's get going on this solder job. I'm gonna light this torch up and then we're gonna start heating. So let's put it into frame since I'm the camera guy today. Just a little bit stronger. Oh, she doesn't want a light today. There we go. She's lit, as you can see. Okay, she's warming up. I like it at about, my flame, I don't want to get burned, but I like my flame about that high, and the tip is way up. Let's show it. Tip is way up, like probably about 5 inches up from this. From the main flame, it's up. But anyway, let's start heating that, and I'll get my solder, and then we'll get going on. Hopefully it's visible in here. Let me move this just a tad. Being your own cameraman is really hard. Okay, so we're going to heat this joint. So if we want that, we want to heat it on the elbow, because copper conducts heat really well, so it's going to heat it real fast. So I'll show it on there. Hopefully you can see the torch on there. So we're going to heat that joint. You don't have to have the torch right in there. And you're going to know when it's hot enough, because when you touch the solder here to this part, it'll draw it up. So let's heat it like right around the tip there. And when it's hot enough, there's the flux is starting to melt. Once this flux is sizzling like that, now there's smoke coming off that joint and it is wearing. And I want to get a little bit of heat on the solder here. There. Okay. There. It drew it up. Now, sometimes you get a bit of a run. I usually keep a wet cloth or something handy when you can wipe that with. But that solder went all the way around. Let's turn the torch off here. Yeah, you get a little bit of a run. Most of the time I have a wet rag, so as soon as I get that nice joint, I just wipe that little glob. You can do it without having that glob, but this is a pipe that will be hot, so we don't want to mess with the top of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo it from the clamps here, and I'll grab it from the bottom where it's not hot and show you all the way around. That's a good solder joint. Then I'll show the camera. So it went all the way around. It sucked it all in. Let's show the camera. If you can see it here, now let me get into focus here. Let's zoom out a little bit. As you can see, the silver is all the way inside the joint, and you can't really see it. Let's turn that way. It's so hard to tell with a camera, but if I go further back, there's silver solder all the way in there, nice and neatly. Other than this ugly glob, which if I had my wet cloth, I would have wiped it. There you have one perfectly good solder joint and no leak on your floor. Super simple, super quick, no plumber needed as long as you make sure you turn the water main off. That is soldering a copper pipe quickly and properly. The key, clean, 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 clean. If you don't think it's clean, clean that again with sandpaper or army cloth. Don't touch it with your fingertips because your fingertips have lots of oils in it. Put lots of flux on there because flux sucks it upwards. So if you've got a joint like that and it's your main pipe going in and then bending or going straight up, and you have to do a section like there with couplers, you're going to want lots of flux because it's got to draw it upwards. Solder paste will pull solder into the joint. Without that, you got no hope in hell of even getting that sucked up into the joint. But that's the most important thing. Clean joint. Good quality solder. I use lead free. Good quality solder paste. A solder brush, emery cloth, and a good amount of heat there. If you were going to be doing the solder joint on a coupler, which I'll show here. Let me look here. This is a coupler. If you're gonna do pipe, you're gonna heat at an angle there to make it go that way, or an angle there to make it go that way. And then you just press the solder on there. You'll know when it's hot enough because as soon as you touch the solder to that joint, it'll suck it in. And it only has to be a quick touch. I don't put the flame all the way pressed against there. I don't put it way back. I put just the tip of the inside darker blue flame right there. And that's a perfect solder job. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give me some likes. Please subscribe to this channel because I'm going to try and do lots of content. Let's get something in the frame just so you don't have to look at my ugly cabinet. And I never ever show my face in these videos. So I was thinking I may run a contest on what do you think Odd Job Johnny looks like, and maybe I'll do some prizes. So if you subscribe and start watching my videos, there may be something in it for you. Hope you enjoyed this video. Give me a like, leave some comments, and we'll see you on the next project.